So when it comes specifically to Candida and fungus, if you follow this guideline, you won't feed Candida and fungus. Now again, we talked about this last week, and just to recap real quick, but not to get too much into it, there's a reason we have Candida or fungal infections inside our body, okay? It's either because there's a weakness in our body, a weakness in an organ. We talked about the two different theories, Louis Pasteur versus Antoine Béchamp. Béchamp basically said that the only reason an organism will live inside and grow and take over your body is because that there's a disease-damaged area in your body in which that organism can survive. Okay? So that's what happens with Candida and parasites and fungus and all these things. There's an environment inside your body in which that organism can live and reproduce and do its thing. Okay? So what happens when you have these organisms in your body, for whatever reason, for like I said, whatever type of issue you have going on in the system, and like for me, just to use me as an example again, I knew I had Candida. I did have Candida. But the reason I had Candida wasn't because I had Candida. The reason I had Candida is because I had a weak lymphatic system that was blocked. All those toxins and poisons start to back up. And Candida, as we explained last week, is a cleanup group. It's in there trying to clean up and decompose waste inside your body. In other words, the more waste you have inside your body, the more Candida is going to be in your body. And that waste can be heavy metals. That waste can be, we were talking to somebody about lacquers and varnishes. That waste can be something in your body that shouldn't be there, and your body wants to get rid of, but can't. And a lot of times, that's where these Candida and fungal issues come from. So what happens is they're there, they're present, they're living organisms, they eat to survive, okay? If you're eating high residue foods, you're going to feed them. And that's when they grow and take over your body. Okay?
So you're not feeding the Candida per se, you're feeding toxins that you have? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's kind of tough to explain. I mean, basically, like I said, the Candida is there for a reason.
To clean up.
Right, to clean up. Okay, but because it's there, it's opportunistic. Okay? And if you eat foods that it eats, which we know they eat starches and sugar and these types of food, it's going to be like, oh, food, and I'll make more babies.
I got you.
And it'll spiral out of control. But again, that's only going to happen in a compromised system where Candida and fungus are present.
That makes sense.
So the goal is to, again, fix the terrain. It always comes back to the terrain, the health of your body. We know for a fact, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that fungus, parasites, Candida, cancer cells, all these things cannot live in an oxygen-rich environment. So, healthy terrain, good oxygen flow, good cellular reproduction with the proper nutrients, no illness. Okay? Other questions? No? Does it make sense? Okay. What time is it?
7:16.
Sweet. A record. I'm not. So let's just go over some of these briefly, and we're going to get into it a lot more next week, because next week I want to go very specific into dairy, into wheat, into corn, into soy, into peanuts. Yeah, into some of these foods. And again, this is just based on the information and the research and the information we have, and you have to make your own best decision. But if you look at, there's 3s and then there's 2s, and then I go over to the positive side. Next week I'm going to give you another list that is +10 to -10. -10, the worst thing you can possibly put in your body, and +10, the best thing you can possibly put in your body, and everything in between. So I'll give you that list next week. But this really is more for a compromised system, because you'll see on here meat, you'll see on here starches, wheat, and things like that. I mean, a lot of people are fine eating those foods. A lot of people are fine eating a lot of those foods. Okay? But if you have a compromised system, if you have Candida, if you have fungus, if you have cancer, if you have leaky gut syndrome, if you have food allergies and food sensitivities, if you have autoimmune conditions, if you have lupus, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, if you have these types of conditions, Crohn's, things like that, you really have to be careful what you eat. Okay? Because the food sensitivities and food allergies will only get worse if you don't work on it. You don't find where the weakness is in your body and start to fix it. So I'll make that point again because I made it last week. So if you have a candida or fungal infection, A, it's not a big deal, but you need to figure out why it's there and what's causing it. But your focus should never be on trying to kill and eradicate the candida or the fungus. Your goal should be trying to find out where the weakness is in your body that's causing it to be there, strengthening and healing your body, and you'll watch those suckers go away on their own. Okay? All my symptoms I had of candida and fungus are long gone. I don't even think about it anymore. And it didn't happen until I stopped taking things to kill candida. Okay? Now that being said, if you're overrun with candida and fungus, you're going to need to take some herbs and some things to flush some of that stuff out of the system. Because remember, like I was explaining, they're opportunistic. Okay? So they end up growing and reproducing faster than we want them there. They need to, they might be trying to clean up this little infection you got going on in your gallbladder, but they grow out of control because of the foods we're feeding. So you're going to want to flush that stuff out of your system. And like I said last week, there's certain herbs and things you can take, and you'll see that stuff flush right out in your stools. I mean, your stools will be cloudy, like a solid cloud of white. And that's all that yeast and stuff coming out of your body. Okay, so you can manage it really easy, and you can flush most of that stuff out within 2 weeks if you eat clean and you take certain herbs. But again, you've got to fix and find the underlying issue.